Of course my battery's gonna die.
You did it right.
Huh? Hey guys, and welcome back to Morgs Menu. So today I'm going to be showing you 3 healthy muffin recipes. These 3 recipes are super easy to put together, and so they're perfect for meal prepping for the week, for your breakfast or snacks, or if you're making some breakfast for some guests that you have over the weekend and you want to impress them with some homemade muffins. These are perfect for that. They have a great flavor, they all came out a great texture, and they held out throughout the week. We use them for meal prep so that I could kind of test to see kind of how they would be on day 3 and 4, and they were still really good. The 3 recipes that I'm going to be showing you are an apple cinnamon muffin, lemon blueberry muffin, and banana chocolate chip muffin. So let's get started. So our first recipe is the apple cinnamon muffins. So for this, you're going to need some avocado oil or any other cooking oil, maple syrup, baking powder, whole wheat flour, allspice, salt, baking soda, muffin tins, cinnamon, vanilla extract, unsweetened applesauce, and 2 medium apples. So we'll start by preheating our oven to 425 degrees. And first thing you want to do is go ahead and peel up your apples. Now for this, you can pretty much use whatever kind of apple you want. I would just recommend using a sweeter apple instead of like a sour Granny Smith apple. Once your apples are peeled, go ahead and cut them into big slices. You don't need to slice them because we're then going to be grating them. You just kind of want to cut around the core and cut off any ends of the peeling that may have been left. Then we're going to go ahead and grate the apples using just a normal cheese grater. If you don't have a cheese grater, you can probably dice this up pretty small, but a grater is going to be the easiest route to get these nice and thin. So now we're going to go ahead and combine up our dry ingredients. So we have 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, a half teaspoon of allspice, and a half teaspoon of salt. Once all the ingredients are in, go ahead and whisk them together to combine. Now we'll work on the wet ingredients. So we have 3 large eggs, 2/3 cup of maple syrup, a 1/3 cup of avocado oil, a 1/3 cup or 1 kind of to-go container of applesauce, and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Then you also want to whisk your wet ingredients together. Now you want to go ahead and combine your wet and dry ingredients together just with a spoon. You don't really want to use a hand mixer here because you don't want to over mix. And then when they start to get combined, go ahead and add in your shredded apple and combine that as well. Now you're just going to divvy out your muffin tins and then divvy out the batter into the muffin tins. Now I use these little paper ones here, but they stuck a little bit to the muffins themselves, so I would recommend either getting the aluminum foil tins or just spraying the metal pan directly and not using tins at all. And to bake this, you want to go ahead and bake them for 5 minutes at 425 degrees and then reduce the heat down to 350 degrees and bake for another 16 to 18 minutes. Full transparency, I forgot to do that when I made them originally, so I baked them for about 15 minutes at 425. They were a little bit dry, but they turned out fine, so I would recommend doing it the correct way, but if you mess up, they won't turn out to be a disaster, don't worry. And then when you think they're done, go ahead and test the toothpick and make sure it comes out clean. And if it does, And pull them out of a pan and set them on a cooling rack to cool off. Now these are about 168 calories a piece, so they have a little bit of protein, carbs, and fat, so they're a really good snack to have, or you could have one or two for breakfast. So next we have our lemon blueberry muffins. So for this one, we're going to need 2 eggs, vanilla extract, salt, of course some blueberries, honey, butter, Greek yogurt, baking soda and baking powder, whole wheat flour, and lemon juice. So we'll start by preheating our oven to 400 degrees. And as I mentioned, you need 2 eggs, but they actually need to be room temperature. Now, if you're like me and forgot about that before you started, you want to kind of have to do this in a rush job. So all you have to do for that is put 2 eggs in a bowl and put room temperature water in the bowl. You don't want to make it hot because you don't want to boil them, but as long as it's room temperature, it'll help bring the eggs to room temperature much faster than just leaving them on the counter. Now while your eggs are getting room temperature, go ahead and either squeeze your lemon or pour your lemon juice into 3/4 cups and add that directly to a medium bowl. When your eggs are ready, go ahead and add those directly in, along with the Greek yogurt, honey, melted butter, and vanilla. Then go ahead and take a whisk and get them all combined until smooth. Next, in a little bit bigger bowl, go ahead and add in your dry ingredients. So we have 2½ cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1¼ teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon salt, and 1½ cups of fresh or frozen blueberries. Once you combine your dry ingredients together, go ahead and fold in the blueberries. And then mix together your wet ingredients into your dry ingredients. Again, you want to use a spoon so that you don't overmix here. And same steps as before, go ahead and line your muffin tins and then add the batter evenly amongst the different tins. Alright, and now they're ready to bake in the oven. So similar to the last one, you're going to bake this for 5 minutes at 400 degrees and then reduce your heat to 350 degrees and bake for another 15 minutes. This one I didn't mess up when I tried it, so it's good to go just like this. And here's what they'll look like when they're done. So as last time, go ahead and test a couple to make sure they come out clean. And go ahead and take them out of the pan and put them on a cooling rack. And here's a nice close-up of them. They got a nice brown top. They're about 200 calories each with a little bit of protein, carbs, and fat. So again, a great snack or breakfast. And last but not least, the chocolate chip banana muffins. Now these I've made multiple times and they're fantastic. So we need some whole wheat flour, baking soda, chocolate chips, milk, vanilla, egg, avocado oil, honey, Greek yogurt, 3 medium bananas, cinnamon, and salt. So we'll start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees. And then start with our dry ingredients. So we've got 1½ cups of flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. The cinnamon is optional, but I really like cinnamon, so I like to add it in, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Now for our wet ingredients, you're going to start with 3 medium bananas and go ahead and mash those together. The riper the banana that you can find for this, the better. So just go ahead and take a fork and mash. Once the bananas are mashed with a fork, I kind of take a whisk and then just stir it around a little bit to get any last bit pieces that are being complicated. And then we're going to add in the remaining ingredients. So we've got 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 4 tablespoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of avocado oil, 1 egg, a 1/2 cup of Greek yogurt, and a tablespoon of milk. For this, I kind of added some of the wet ingredients, stirred together, and then added the remaining just so that it wasn't so difficult to whisk together at the end. So then you want to go ahead and whisk all the wet ingredients together. And then slowly add in your dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. Again, I used a whisk rather than a hand mixer to avoid over mixing. Once that's basically combined, I switch to a spoon so that you can fold in any of the remaining pieces. And then you want to fold in about 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. You can either use regular size or mini. I've used both and both worked fine. And by now you know the drill. Line the muffin tin and add in the batter evenly. And here's what it'll look like when they're all even and ready to go. So this one's easy. You're just gonna bake it at 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes. And check it with a toothpick, make sure it's done. And pull it off and let it cool on a cooling rack. And here's what these will look like when they're completely done. So they're about 155 calories as prepared. A little bit lower than the other ones, so these are a really good option if you're really counting calories right now. You can also reduce the calories by omitting the chocolate chips. Alright guys, and that concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and got some good ideas for some breakfast recipes that you can make in the future. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I post on Wednesdays and Sundays. Any questions, make sure you leave those in the comments down below, and make sure you let me know if you try out any of the recipes. Thanks again for watching Morgs Menu, and hope you have a great day. Bye.